no idea who these guys were. But then the first time I ever felt any kind of anger, which anger is not a bad emotion. What you do with that can be sin.
Yep.
But the first time I felt anger was when they arrested him and I saw the photos of the guys. And so in that moment, I really had to wrestle with this. And what I realized was that forgiveness isn't an emotion. That I wasn't ever going to feel like forgiving them. That's just point blank. You're never going to feel like forgiving somebody for doing something to you that is irreparable. And so no matter what the degree of it is, you're just not going to feel it. And so what I realize is that forgiveness is a decision. And it's not just a one-time decision, it's a daily decision. Yeah. And so literally, Perry, every day I have to wake up. And sometimes I'm faced with those feelings a little bit stronger than other days. But I have to wake up and I have to decide to forgive. And here's why I decided to forgive, is because bitterness and unforgiveness is going to be a cancer to no one else except for me. And it's going to eat me up inside if I hang on to that. And at the end of the day, like I said, the Lord said, revenge is mine. And so the fact that on this side of eternity, who knows what's going to happen. But on the other side of eternity, again, Jesus is going to restore and make all things bad completely untrue, right? And so he's going to take care of vengeance. All I have to do is trust that he's got all of this in control. The cross was a verse 4 moment, the valley of the shadow of death, where all of Jesus' disciples could have raised up and said, we've got to get revenge, we've got to have retribution. The resurrection shows us that God is a much better avenger than we are. And he brings life into it. He doesn't bring death into it. He brings life into it. And so I just didn't want to be eaten up by unforgiveness and bitterness. And honestly, Perry, I know this sounds crazy, and I honestly don't know how I'm going to do it outside of the grace of God, but I really hope I get the opportunity to share the gospel with these guys. I really do. I honestly have no idea how much. Don't sit there and be like, man, he's incredible. I have no clue. But where the Lord has me on my journey right now, the people he's placed in my life, the stories that I've heard of people who have gone through even bigger tragedies than I have and who have done that very thing, it has inspired me to say, man, truly nothing is wasted. Can you imagine? Imagine this. Imagine if these 3 guys met Jesus. Okay? Imagine the kick in the nuts it would be for the enemy.
I love it. Yes.
You know? I'm just saying.
You can tell he's from New Spring.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not.
No,
okay.
Much worse things have been said from the stage by guest speakers. When I was at your church back in January, you guys sang a song called "Glorious Ruins," and it was about God taking ruins and bringing them to life. And so today, on all of our campuses, people watching online, even at your own church, there are people sitting here that maybe are dealing with. I told you this in Israel. Most of the pain in our lives is hidden. We don't talk about our pain because we're afraid that people will think we're weird or whatever. There are people here dealing with anger, confusion, bitterness, frustration, unforgiveness. And you've shared a lot. But take a few minutes and speak to the person or speak to the people here today that just need to be encouraged that there's something glorious that can come out of these ruins.
Yeah. I can't overemphasize enough how much we've seen the Lord do in people's lives out of this. How many people are saying, you would have no idea, Amanda's story has changed the way I follow Jesus, or because of Amanda, I'm now following Jesus. And that brings a lot of, again, it brings a lot of comfort to me, a lot of consolation to me. But I know that that's just the tip of the iceberg. What I do know is that, and the faith that we have, we live by faith, not by sight. And so the faith that we have is that underneath that tip of the iceberg, there are just ripple effects taking place. And I think the thing that really brought it to head for me was when we were at Caesarea Maritime, when we were in Israel. And this was a place where gladiators, you look at the gladiator arena, and early Christians were being killed for their faith. And 2,000 years later, I'm sitting in this arena, and I'm going, I'm here following Jesus, have the hope of eternity with Christ, because early Christians walked by faith and not by sight, and in the middle of their suffering, they believed that out of their ruin, something glorious could happen. And I'm sitting with a group of people that are that something glorious. We know Jesus because they were willing to step into the pain. And so I think it is excruciating to step into pain. I wrote a blog post the other day about running toward the roar. And what you need to do is you need to go read that blog post, because I don't have time to unpack it right now because my little timer's telling me that we're close to being done.
No, you got time.
Do I have time to unpack that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing that happens when you walk through pain is you try to box it up and push it away because you don't want to feel it, right? It hurts too bad to feel it. You step into situations. I'll never forget a couple weeks after Amanda's death, I'm getting in my car, and my iPod comes on automatically in my car, just that Bluetooth feature. And it was the song that was played while Amanda was walking down the aisle. And it just happened to be on a playlist, and it was like this crushing blow to me. And what I wanted to do, here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to turn the song off immediately. I want to stuff it away, just box it. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that pain. That hurts too bad. But I got some advice from a guy who said that when I feel pain, I need to run toward the roar. And what this means is when lions hunt, they actually hunt in roles. So the male lion goes to one side of a watering hole. The females, the lionesses, will go to the other side. And you've seen it on National Geographic. They'll all come around. There's wildebeest or something, or zebras. And the male lion will let out this huge roar, flare its mane, get really big. And the intent is to scare the prey to run into the ambush of the female lions. And what's interesting is Scripture says in 1 Peter 5 that the enemy prowls around like a roaring lion, right? He's seeking whom he can devour. Well, as Christians, he can't devour us, but he can scare us. And so he's trying to intimidate us to get us to run away from, in this application, run away from our pain because it hurts too bad. But when we run away from the pain, we actually run into an ambush of even more pain. Wow. And so what we'll do is we'll box it up, we'll push it away, and this is why you'll have people who won't for 5, 10 years talk about it. You lose somebody to a tragic accident, and you're like, I don't want to talk about it, I'm not talking about it. Talk about it. Because that's stepping into, that's actually running toward the roar. As counterintuitive as it seems,